Priyank, I love you. And this time I really mean it. I really want to get married to you again. And this time I don't want to repeat the mistake I did last time. I know I was very wrong. Even though I was angry and mad that I was getting married to you, but still I chose a wrong way. I shouldn't have hurted you and ignored you. I'm glad that you fought back. If you wouldn't have, then I don't think I would have any courage to ask you for forgiveness. Jimin, do you think I'm weak or something? Taeyang, no, of course not. But I'm really glad that you were strong. I'm thankful that you fought back with me. Your presence has always played a huge part in my life, although it was not meant to be like this, but I didn't think your presence in that house will mean this much. Although we barely talked or met each other, but still, your presence was there, and your absence really made a huge difference. I'm glad you left me. If you wouldn't have, I don't think I would have realized it. I'm really thankful for whatever happened, but at the same time, I am disappointed with myself that I did that. I can't believe I did it. I might not be able to rewind everything, but I want to make it better. I want to cover it up with care and affection for you. Please, please give me a chance to do that. Just once, give me that chance. I promise I will never ever do what I have done. I will never repeat it again. I might not deserve you, but please, can I just get a chance? Jimin, you are not anyone to decide that you don't deserve me. Yes, I accept that you were really rude to me, and I really hated it. But deciding the fact that you don't deserve me is not up to you. And talking about giving a chance, you already got one. But still, I haven't forgiven you. Totally. As you were really caring towards me in the last few days, I have forgiven you a little bit more, but yet not totally. Hey, I know I got a chance, but I want a chance to get married to you again, to start a new relationship again, but this time with difference. Can I have that one? Jimin, uh, well, I haven't decided yet. Taeyang, take your time. I can wait. I can wait my whole life if you want. Jimin nodded as he didn't look at Taeyang anymore and started looking around the pictures, choosing few of them to take to their house. The day skipped. From the next day, they all started doing their own work. Jimin and Taeyang went to hospital and company for their own works. Taeyang came to drop Jimin at the hospital, and later that day, when it was end of Jimin's work, Taeyang came to pick him up. He called many times that day, only to ask if he ate and what he was doing. It was unusual because Taeyang really doesn't get much time because of his work, and even though Jimin was really late, he still came to pick up Jimin. Both of them were back to their old self, talking and laughing with each other. They shared many events that happened the day, and both were very happy since they didn't talk in last 9 months because of all the problems. Taeyang started having his meals with Jimin, and he would try to help Jimin but always end up causing trouble. But Jimin just laughed it up and cleaned the mess he created. Taeyang sometimes got sad because he couldn't help Jimin in his cooking since he never learned cooking. Jimin would say him to just sit and watch him do. So he does, but instead of noticing the way he does the cooking, he will just keep looking at Jimin, admiring him, and totally lost in his beauty. He always focuses on the person rather than the cooking. Well, not his fault. He can't be blamed. Jimin is truly like an angel. just too much down to earth. He would have surely regretted if he wouldn't have realized it and taken a step ahead to ask for forgiveness and to get a chance. That was surely gonna happen. They were having a great time not knowing what future was waiting for them. About after a month, when Jimin didn't reply to Taeyang's question, Taeyang asked Jimin about it again, but he got the same answer again. He wanted to wait, but Jimin just made it even more impossible for him to wait for him. As the time kept passing, they had become just like their old self as they used to be when they were brothers. And Thiang was happy since he was able to be with Jimin and hug him whenever he wants. Always live with him because he loved cuddling with Jimin. It was almost time for Jimin's birthday, and Kyung wanted to surprise Jimin. He arranged everything he could and do whatever he had to do so that he could make Jimin happy and make his day a memorable day. As the days started getting skipped and the day got closer, Taeyang got even more excited for Jimin's birthday. Maybe he was more excited than Jimin was. Well, not maybe, he was. Finally, the day arrived as Jimin got over from his work at about 11 o'clock at night. He had totally forgotten that it was his birthday next day and he just wanted to go and rest since he was quite tired after a long day. He was glad that he could get sleep in the night time because it is something really hard to get due to his work and tight schedule. He called Theang as Theang got there just in 5 minutes. Jimin came out of the hospital as he went towards the car. Theang saw him as he went outside of his car and ran towards Jimin. Jimin looked like he had no energy left to do anything, and he might fall any moment soon. As soon as Theang got to Jimin, Jimin let himself fall on Theang, knowing that Theang will catch him, and so he did. Theang, wait, what happened? Was the day too much tiring? He asked in a soft voice as he held Jimin. Jimin just nodded in the response, not having the energy to speak. Thiang, it's fine. You should rest for some time. Jimin again nodded as Thiang picked him up in bridal style and made him sit inside the car. He closed the door and went towards the driver's seat sitting inside. He helped Jimin to wear the seat belt and took out his coat, covering Jimin's upper body because the weather outside was quite cold. Jimin fell asleep as soon as he got inside the car. Priyank just smiled as he looked towards Jimin's face for a couple of minutes and then started the car, going towards a convenience store so that he could buy some energy drink for Jimin. He took some energy juice and went back to the car. Jimin was still sleeping. He looked at the time. It was 11:38. 22 more minutes. He smiled as he drove the car towards his company. By the time they arrived at the company, it was almost 12 o'clock. 4 more minutes to go. He drove as slowly as possible so that Jimin could sleep peacefully. As they arrived at the company, Hyung o- opened his side door and ran towards Jimin's side, opening the door of his side and bending down to the point where he could see Jimin. He rubbed his hand a little bit and then kept both of his hands on Jimin's face. Jimin slowly opened his eyes. Are we already here? He said as he looked around, only to find different place Then they are home. Jimin, where are we? His voice was still sleepy and a little bit tired. Taeyang, are you alright? I mean, will you be able to come outside and go inside the company? Jimin, wait, I'm just go home. Taeyang, not too long, just for some time. If you are fine, I just have something for you. Jimin, alright, he said as he opened his seatbelt and held Taeyang's coat. He noticed his shirt wasn't much thick to protect him from the cold wind blowing outside. He held Taeyang's hand, stopping him as they were walking towards the company. Taeyang, yeah, what happened? Jimin took the coat as he made Taeyang wear it. Jimin, you aren't wearing anything warm. Do you have a wish to catch cold or something? Yeah, I would be gladly accept that since I can be with you. He smiled softly as he let Jimin button the coat. Jimin, you just want to increase my work, don't you? Tiang, well, no, but I would love to be with you. He looked towards the time. It was already 11:59. Tiang, let's go, he said as he held Jimin's hand and ran towards the company. He opened the door, and as he entered inside, a quick flash of light scattered everywhere as other lights got switched on too. He looked at the time. It was perfectly 12 o'clock. He turned towards Jimin, who was surprised to see the lights and decoration there. Here, happy birthday, love. Jimin was still in utter shock to utter a single word. He just kept looking at Theon. Soon they heard some other voices coming from behind. Jimin turned around only to see their parents and some other employees. Their parents from last life were also there. They sang the birthday song as Jimin just kept looking at them with a amazed and happy face. Everyone clapped as they stopped singing. Jimin, Mom, when did you come back? You didn't even told me. Jisoo and Rosie, we were supposed to give you surprise. How could we tell you? Jimin, didn't expected it. I almost forgot about my birthday. Thiang, I knew it. You never remember your own birthday. Jimin, I mean, I was quite busy in work, so I didn't notice the date. Thiang, of course you were. So will you take the knife and cut the cake? If you have that much of strength left. Jimin let out a small chuckle as the cake approached them. It wasn't too big, but it was looking really nice, just Jimin's type. And the person who was holding the cake kept it on the table that another person brought there. Jimin just smiled as he looked towards there. Jimin, and if I say I don't have strength, then what would you do? Taeyang, I will have to think about it. Or can wait for tomorrow. Jimin, why don't you take a easier way? Just help me cut it. Taeyang, no, I'm not going to cut your. He couldn't speak ahead as he felt his hand getting held by Jimin's. He looked at it, confused, and later smiled when he realized what Jimin meant to say. He smiled as he took Jimin's hand and held the knife. Others started singing as they cut the cake. Their both parents were looking at them with eyes full of happiness and tenderness. After cutting the cake, Jimin took out the first piece as he gave it to Thea, and so did Thea. He later gave it to his parents and other employees. After the cutting session, everyone left so that they could get privacy. Yeah. So can you walk just a little bit towards the elevator, Jimmy? Um, carrying me would be better. He said as Yang smiled again and carried Jimin in bridal style, walking him towards the lift. He didn't let him stand again. Although Jimin asked him to let him stand there, he could carry him later when they come out. But Taeyang just kept holding him effortlessly as if he weighed nothing. Jimin, yeah, let me down already. Your hand will hurt. Taeyang, you don't even weigh that much. Just be there, he said as he kept on looking towards Jimin, not taking his eyes off. Well, he wasn't able to take off. The whole company was decorated beautiful as they got into the top floor. Taeyang came out of the elevator as he took Jimin outside the door which led them to the terrace. The rooftop was even decorated more beautifully. Jimin, wow. Yeah, how many places have you decorated? Taeyang, that doesn't matter. I just wanted to make it special for you. He said as he let Jimin stand. Jimin looked around the beautiful decoration as he ran to Taeyang, hugging him tightly. Taeyang, you love seeing stars. Shall we watch it together? He said as Jimin slowly nodded, still hugging him, while Taeyang's arms were around him, holding him tightly, not willing to let him go. They sat on the couch which was there. Jimin was sitting on Taeyang's lap, resting his back on Taeyang as they watched the stars. After some time of complete silence and watching the view, Jimin turned around in Taeyang's arms, which were around his waist. Taeyang, what happened? Jimin, thanks a lot. I didn't know this memorable day. Taeyang, it's nothing. I would love to do everything I can. He smiled as Jimin smiled back. Jimin, then why don't we make it more special? Taeyang, what do you mean? Jimin, let me make it more special for you, since it's already too much special for me. Taeyang, what? What do you mean? He asked, totally clueless and confused. Jimin, you wanted an answer, right? Sorry to make you wait, but you already know that I love you, and I truly do. And about your marriage proposal, then 1,010 years. Even if you ask me thousands or infinite time, it would be only yes. Taeyang's smile kept getting wider as Jimin spoke, his eyes getting teary as his grip on Jimin's waist started getting more tighter, pulling Jimin as close as he could. He hugged Jimin tightly. He couldn't explain what feelings he was feeling right that time. Triumph, I love you too. And thank you. Thank you so much for accepting. I won't disappoint you this time. Jimin, I'm looking forward to it. He said as he backed off from the hug. He leaned in, letting Taeyang devour his lips as they kissed passionately. Taeyang pulled Jimin even closer, if that was possible, as Jimin just responded back to the kiss, surrounding his hands around Taeyang's neck. As the night passed with them having a beautiful and memorable moment, the other day arrived when Jisoo came to know about their marriage plan. They agreed to it as soon as they heard about it. They planned to keep it in a week so that they could get married as soon as possible. And this time, the marriage was going to be happen with all their willing and without any force or ignorance. This time, with a great love and passion and within them. Rosie and Jisoo planned to tell them before the marriage so that they could decide it earlier before getting married. It was a unfolded truth hidden from them since their childhood. 3 days before marriage, all was in the living room of Taeyang and Jimin's house. Jimin, Mom, what happened? What do you want to tell? Jisoo, it's a untold truth. I know it might be really very much surprising for you both. But anyways, you have to know about it. So I should let you know before you get married and decide it later on if you truly want to get married even after. So she wasn't able to speak, so Rosie took over her place and spoke ahead. Rosie, you both are not biological brothers.